X1075.
X1075.
All right, Gavin. Well, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. What's your name, by the way?
My name's Kent.
Kent.
Yep.
Nice.
This is
cool
my
name.
wife, Lindy.
Hi, Lindy.
So
There's a great name, Kent.
Well, thank you.
It's cool.
I
Distinguished.
There you go.
You got to be distinguished. You can't mess around, mess up. You know what I mean? Someone called Kent's got to be like in control, and that's what I would think, like a secret agent or something.
There you go. It's
Don't
British,
tell me
right?
if you are. I know. I've got the code.
Won't let you know. Okay, so first question that we had for you, knowing that you're from England, this is the important question that I really want to know the answer. Top Gear or Fifth Gear?
Oh, Top Gear. Awesome show.
All right.
What is Fifth Gear? Is that a magazine?
Fifth Gear's the other one. It's another one that they have, but it's newer than Top Gear.
Oh, well, I like that whole, you know, the triangle between the three of them there, sort of the three, Jeremy and those other two, and just, yeah, like it's, I don't even care that much about cars, but they make me like watching it. You know, they're good. I like them.
Totally. Okay, so number two, in that same vein, I guess. What was the?
Thanks for numbering it.
Hey, no problem.
I appreciate
in case
that.
we get lost.
I was wondering which number that was.
So, what was the first car that you bought after your first big paycheck?
I wanted to get an old Mercedes. I used to love those kind of from the Soviet era. You know, those kind of from the Soviet Union, they'd have those kind of state cars, the old Mercedes, basically like 50s, 60s Mercedes. But I told my friend who I grew up with about that, and he goes, let me get it for you because I know cars. And he turned up with a 67 fastback, like the electric blue, just like Steve McQueen had in Bullet. And so he talked me into getting that car. But I loved it, but it was just a money drain. It was so noisy. Like when you ride in the car, I'd been having with my girlfriend at the time, thinking that it was really romantic, but I couldn't hear a word she was saying. And it did break it down a couple of times. And you know, if you ever have a car that breaks down, it's all, you know, it's like, it's, you know, it's what's similar to, you know, if anyone lets you down in life, you know, once that trust is broken, it's tough to kind of, I think, I'm going to get in the car, you know, let me give you a ride. I'm thinking in my head, it's going to break down. Any minute, it's going to break down. And then when I made Golden State, it was the first record I made in America in 1999. And, everyone else was kind of spending like massive amounts of money on rental cars and houses and stuff like that. And I was staying with my girlfriend at the time, Gwen. And so I just shipped that car over, and I was going to get it fixed, but I took it to a specialist, you know, a kind of Mustang specialist. He goes, this will cost either 24 or 14 or way too much to make it like real roadworthy. So it turned out that my friend I grew up with knew nothing about cars, and it was like put together with safety pins and gaffer tape, and it just, that's why it kept on breaking down.
Okay. Well,
that was a long answer. Nice. Number two got a long answer.
Hey, that's okay. That's what we like.
Do you want a yes or no on number three?
Well, I will see how it goes.
Okay.
So interesting question is, how does it work raising a family with two A-list celebrity parents?
Well, thank you for lumping me in that category. It's nice. I feel up. I'm not sure I am A-list, but it's challenging. I think it's much the same with anyone who has kids, really, in that you don't know how you do it, and you always seem to feel you're shortchanging someone in the equation. But what we do is we sort of understand each other. You know, for me and Gwen, that, you know, if I say I'm going to the studio, I'm going upstairs, I work at the house, they can come visit, but she knows that's a long, protracted evening. You know, she's not going to see me again till the next morning, and that's a lot of the time. So she's really understanding about that stuff, which is probably the best thing about us being in the same world, that it's not, you don't have to explain things, you know, commitments and what we're doing and why it's, like now this tour is like insane and I'm away so much, but we never really discussed it. She's just mad at me for going.
I'm sure it helps that she's in the same boat.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
So,
on the sea of memories.
Okay.
Boom, boom.
It's been stated, and a lot of people know that the Pixies were a big influence to Bush. Who do you have as like a personal influence? You know, other than what's influenced Bush, like who would you say is probably the artist or group that influenced you the most?
Well, there's all of them everywhere. For instance, Like Tom Waits is a real favorite of mine because he has dazzling lyrics and he's so singular, you know. And then I have other people that I really like. I like Maynard, who's in Tool, as a singer, because he's just such a great singer and really interesting how he is. Probably Bruce Lee.
Okay.
I grew up loving Bruce Lee. I loved all those kung fu movies. I was obsessed with Wing Chun and like, just I used to have that poster on my wall of him with a 3 slashes across his like six-pack, and I just grew up looking at that every day, just thinking he's so cool. So I liked him. I liked Bob Marley, just for what he stood for, his kind of energy and his consciousness. And then there's an author called Paul Auster, who is my favorite writer, and he does stuff with words that those of us that have given our life to words can only dream about being that good. He's really phenomenal. He writes great books, and so you just get lost in his world, and he's magic.
Excellent. Well, thanks for sharing that. Next question we got for you. Aside from Criminal Minds and Burn Notice, what is it that you TiVo?
What are the TV shows? Well, somehow I keep TiVoing, or I keep seeing on there Man vs. Food, which is such a disgusting show, but it's like watching a car crash. I mean, like, it's so bad in a world where like there's food shortages in Somalia or whatever, and people dying, and you know, people very, very conscious about health, and there's this dude who's just scarfing down 6 pounds of burrito at a time. You just can't. It's like, I can't believe this guy. And the way they style him is they put him in lots of layers, and all the clothes look too small on him. It's just like, it's so weird. But he's very gung ho, and he's very entertaining, and so that's on. I like Anthony Bourdain, No Reservations. He's just, I like those travel shows. Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is now finished, but that was like amazing. I love Larry David, and Entourage. And then there's other ones that I wish I TiVo'd. Game of Thrones, Mad Men, all these great shows. Breaking Bad is meant to be phenomenal. But so I need to do it more. I like, about that much stuff. And what else is there? Basically, all my stuff is like filled with like Caillou and Yo Gabba Gabba from my kids. I like, every time I turn on the TV, it's like really creepy because it's late at night and there's like someone playing a kids game, and it's, you know, it freaks me out. I just came in from, you know, being in the studio or something. I'm like, what is going on? But I'm getting used to that now.
Hey, that's a good place to be. Next question, we'll say, going back in the past a little bit, had things worked out with Hollywood records, do you think things would be drastically different for Bush today?
Well, effectively they were just distribution for us. You know, it was always going to be run by the same maniacs at Trauma Records. So, you know those maniacs, right? Or that particular maniac, anyway. Robert Kane, and he was such a force of nature that was just a distribution, much like Interscope then took over where they left off, and they're obviously a huge machine, but just the force of nature of my independent label was, I think that they would have done fine with anyone.
Congratulations on the new label, by the way.
Hey, the best thing is that there was Hollywood Records, when we delivered 16 Stone, what happened is that there's this guy called Frank Wells who had signed us. Then he got killed in a helicopter crash. It was real sad. So suddenly we didn't know if we had our deal anymore. So when the new people took over, they listened to 16 Stone. And the quote, one of my favorite quotes of life ever is, they said, not only is there not a single on this record, there's not even an album track.
Okay.
I was like, ouch. So it probably wasn't the right place for us to be anyway. So that I love it when people like say stuff like that, and just time just proves them wrong. You don't have to say anything. You just like let it go.
Let history speak for itself.
Let the calendar flip.
Well, that's awesome. Next question will go along with, while in secondary, I think that's what they call high school in England. I don't know. Did you do sports, music, or both? Were you one way or the other?
I did a lot of sport. I played soccer.
Football,
and I played tennis. Those were the two things I loved, and There was some music, but I went to sing for the choir, and I tried out because they had a choir. But I felt so geeky that I sabotaged my audition and was shown the door and didn't hear back. So it was my first audition and my first fail, but it was kind of intentional. But you know what's weird about on that subject is that every morning when we go to school in England, you go to church first as part of it. Like part of the day would begin.
Curriculum,
yeah. They give you you have to go to the church and they sing hymns, and then someone reads and everyone is late and eating candy. You know what I mean? It's like a mess. You know, everyone's a mess, not paying attention. But I do think about this sometimes, that I think that formed the basis of all my understanding of melodies, because every day I just was trained in singing these songs that I wasn't necessarily at that age. I was a bit, not disrespectful, but I wasn't that connected to, thinking, oh my God, this is, wonderful. I'd be like, oh man, 20 minutes time, maths, oh, that sucks. How can I get out? And so I think about that sometimes, but that was an aside. That was almost like a question part, reply part B.
Okay. Well, next question we have for you. With the advent of digital music, and iTunes and the way things kind of are going in the future, has that affected the way that you put together an album?
No, not really. With pop acts, where people expect them to have just singles. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's you're not looking at their albums, it starts getting skinnier and skinnier. But I always find that with rock bands, the album, it's an experience. Obviously out of principle, I always buy the records because I don't like cutting them up. But I think that whole, now it's a minute and a half on Amazon and iTunes. I think that's a really good thing, and you can gauge if you want to check out a band from that. And I think it's fair. I think too many records were made and charged too much money. People got so burnt over the years of hang on, it's full of dross outside of the singles. So I think it's a healthy thing, and I sort of accept the challenge. But I like it when people just give the songs a chance to breathe and check them out.
Oh, well, thanks for that. Next question. Is the lifestyle still as fun after your major successes as it was when you were trying to break through? You consider it more work now, or?
Well, there's an element of it's all work. I mean, because it's relentless, because it's day after day. I've got 2 friends traveling with me, and all they want to do is party all night long and drink tequila. And we ran out of tequila at 3:30 in the morning, and they're looking for get more, and I'm like, cool. And then you guys go home and collapse for a week, and then I got to sing and play every night, So, but no, I love it. I mean, this reformation. What we're doing now is just we're having a brilliant time and just loving it. I mean, I think that if you can't love, we're just at the beginning of it, and it's really doing great, and it's full of promise and hope and all fun things that make life worth living. So we're just enjoying it. If you didn't enjoy this process that I'm in right now, then you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Okay. Well, hurry quickly. I think they're trying to get us to finish up. But last question.
I keep giving really long answers.
That's okay. That's okay with me. Last question. Is there anything you can tell us about yourself that maybe most people don't already know?
Okay. Yeah. If I hadn't have been a musician, I would have been a cook. Would have worked in a restaurant.
Well, thank you for your time, Gavin. And,
pleasure.
It was a pleasure to meet you, and we enjoy your music, and we'll hope that you keep making albums for a while yet.
Thank you. Good, nice questions. Good job.
Well, thank you.
All right.
X1075.